Good evening and welcome to Zoe Presents Women of Destiny. It is so good to be here tonight. So glad spring has finally come. I'm telling you, I was getting so tired of that COVID look, and I wanted to just toss away all my sneakers and my sweats and put on some fun clothes and feel normal, and just feel normal again. Well, tonight, family, we have an awesome program planned for you. We have women who are truly women of destiny. And as you know, every month we get together on the fourth Saturday just to present a new concept or a new artist or just to talk about old times. And tonight, I'm telling you, these women are women who are fulfilling their call that God has placed on their lives. And in honor of Women's History Month and, of course, International Day, we're going to kind of fly with the theme choose to challenge. A challenged world is an alert world. And from challenge comes change. Now, here's the common thread that runs through all of these beautiful women is that we all have at some point come through Zoe Records, whether we have served them in the music industry or as publicists. It's just been different opportunities there, but we have all come through there. Now, Zoe Records has been in the business for over 20 years. They stepped out over 20 years ago and decided that they were going to make a change, okay? They decided that they would be the force to be reckoned with in the UK. And guess what? They've done it. And the United States, they came over here. And as we say, the British are coming. They came and they won Dove Awards. They were the first international label to be sanctioned by the Stellar Awards for an event during Stellar Weekend. That was huge. That had never happened before. Okay. And Zoe artists have toured all over the United States for the most part in just about every major city in America for the last decade or so, okay? And they've performed in major churches with major ministries, in clubs. They performed at radio. They performed on television, and they opened for a lot of major artists. And we did some very unique things. It was always new opportunities. We did conferences and conventions, never a dull moment. Now, you know what? They've done a lot of things also, too, on the international level in the UK. And I'm going to bring up some of the ladies who have influenced the success of Zoe Records in the music industry. Okay? Tonight, we have with us, I'm trying to think who I'm bringing up first. Well, let's see. Let's bring up Coco Dupree. Hey, Coco.
Hey,
How are you tonight?
I am wonderful tonight. I'm good. Happy to be here.
Happy to be here. Happy to see you too. And you know what? I think it's so important, like with this Women's History Month, that women are truly people of influence. And we are women who we change destinies. We're game changers and history makers. And like I said, all of us have had some sort of business with Zoe Records. I'm not a singer, but I've done a lot of business with Zoe Records over the years in terms of influencing who that label is today. Okay. And so why don't you start? I want everybody to introduce themselves. I thought I could do it, but I'd rather that you do it. Who can tell your story like you can? So why don't you just introduce yourself, tell us who you are, and tell us how you influenced Zoe Records.
Well, I am Coco Dupree. I am a singer and songwriter in the UK. I've been doing it since I was, I'd say, 17 years old, but took it really seriously in my mid-20s. And yeah, I think from there, I basically just started writing music and just throwing it up. And Zoe Records approached me in terms of just wanting to kind of like bring my stuff over. They liked what they heard. One of the guys that was working with them at the time, he was just like, look, we need to, we really like your music. We want to just throw your stuff out there, and, just bring you over to the States and add you onto the tour. So for me, that was something huge. So I just thought, this is great. This is a great opportunity for me. Because it was on a bigger scale. I'm used to being on stage and traveling the world, but in terms of just being somewhere that I've always loved and just had such a I've had lots of inspiration from the States. So I always knew that that's where I wanted to go.
Mhm.
So that was a great thing for me. So I was basically with them, they brought me over. I was touring, like you said, we did major churches and different clubs and bars and places like that. And they helped me in terms of just my music getting it out there. But I feel like it was just a back and forth exchange, basically, because whenever someone would say, "Oh, how did you get here?" I'm like, "Zoe Records." So, and also in exchange, I helped, tell other artists out there about Zoe Records that they wanted to come to the UK as well. So it's like all that mutual exchange started to happen. So that was really good for me.
Okay, and so in terms of women of destiny, I want women to hear tonight that you know, just like Moses, God said, "What do you have in your hands?" You don't have to go out and try to become something before you're the woman of destiny. It's a journey. And so, what exactly do you feel you really brought to Zoe? I know you said there was an exchange, you introduced new artists to the label, and some of them did come. But they've had 20 years of success. What's the one main thing you feel like, hey, that was me right there? I'd sign my name to that movement or that moment or
Oh my gosh, I can't even think of anything personally. Um,
okay.
I mean, to be honest, like everything was a challenge. I always looked at myself. I'm really forward. It was I'm happy to always expose myself. So I just looked at myself as I was just different. I was more of the where you look at everyone else as the, almost traditional gospel or whatever. I kind of brought that difference, I feel like, to Zoe, where I I
Mhm.
looked different for number one. So I felt like I could approach people not just in the churches. I was able to, get to people that was also outside of the church. So when it came to like going to the bars and going to the clubs and stuff like that and performing our music, I felt, it sounds really weird, but I felt comfortable because it was just like normally when you looked at in a church, I get judged straight away from how I look, piercing, stuff like that. So I just thought I brought a quirkiness to them that made people feel comfortable, where it was like they were comfortable. So, oh, so it's a gospel label? Yeah, it is. And it's like they'll look at me like, oh, okay, you seem cool, whatever, So all I can say really is I brought me, and I'm different. I know that now. I've accepted the reality that I look different. My sound is different, and yeah, I just brought quirkiness, I guess. That's what I
Well,
could.
you know what? I agree that you have a unique presentation. Okay. I agree with that. And I think, like you said, it made people comfortable. And, you opened up the spectrum for them to be accepted
Yeah,
as a gospel artist, whether it was neo soul or
yeah,
jazz or something different than the traditional, quote unquote gospel sound. So
right.
you paved the way for others to actually feel comfortable in their genre and the things that God had called them to do. So kudos to you, women of destiny. And next, of course, we have Deborah. I'm going to bring Deborah up. Deborah is also a singer. Hey, Deborah.
Hello, good
How you
evening.
doing? Hi, hi. Good to see you, Deborah. And I'm going to ask you the same questions that I asked Coco. I want you, number one, to introduce yourself. Nobody can tell your story like you can. Who are you, and how did you influence Zoe Records?
Hi, my name is Deborah, and I'm a singer-songwriter. It's funny how my journey started with Zoe Records. I used to back for an artist called JS, and I remember him giving me a call and saying, "Oh, I'm going to America, and it's been fantastic, and I want you to come on the next tour. I've been speaking to, the people behind the record label, and they're interested in coming. Can you come?" And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, okay, this is really like, big. Okay, let me come. So managed to get there, and it was just a whole different new world to what I was used to. I did a lot of choir work, teaching my church youth choir, and I was involved in other things. But I at the time I wasn't a solo singer, so that world was very new to me. I would do a lot of backing for other gospel artists, but I hadn't actually done anything of my own. So coming along with JS and backing in a different country was alien to me, but I had a fantastic time. And I remember the first tour we were on, a lot of people would come to me and be like, "Oh my goodness, what music do you have?" And at the time, that wasn't really my focus. It was all about me. I just loved to serve and to back and be a backing vocalist and whatever. And the label approached me and was like, "Would you be able to produce something? Would you be able to create something, to write a project?" And I guess from there, that's when things just kind of changed, and I came up with a project, and it just kind of rocketed from there. From bringing out a project, I was nominated for a Dove Award, and that was just really mad for my first project, to be nominated in 3 categories. I think narrowed it down to 2, and then going to the Stellar Awards. So it was just such a great experience, and it was such a journey, coming from just being a backing vocalist to becoming a solo artist. It was, I had such a fantastic time, and I went on several tours, with also with Coco. So yeah, I had a fantastic time. In terms of the contributions that I made to Zoe, I guess my style was a bit different, because it was a bit of a mishmash of hip hop and R&B kind of merged together. So I think going to the churches that we did, or going to like the different events that we did, I don't think they expected that, especially from the UK as well. They didn't really expect it. So that was kind of a nice contribution to bring. And I think also outside of that, Zoe did a lot of work in schools, and I have a lot of experience working in schools, working with children and teaching choirs. So I've been able to do that as well, which has been fantastic. And I think I'll stop there.
Oh yeah, I think that's amazing. And because what is my point tonight? My point tonight is I want to help women to see what they have done, the contributions that they have made, and to value it. Because there are a lot of women who don't know what their purpose is, or who don't value the things that they've contributed in their particular sphere of influence. And definitely, Deborah, I remember when you came on, and you were backing, like you said, you came to back JS, but it was shortly thereafter that you had your own project nominated for Dove Awards and touring, and like I said, all across America. And one of the most beautiful things was that you're such a proper British, proper British person, that it would fascinate people when they spoke with you and your accent. And, I remember we did something at our high school and the whole football team took a picture with you. So it was fun stuff, but it was impacting. And of course, all of the work that you and Coco did as artists in the United States only added to the momentum of what Zoe Records was building and, and has built in this particular time. So thank you for your contributions. You may not have thought much of that, what you did, but you have really impacted generations. So thank you for that. And next up, we have another lady here who is a woman of destiny. She goes by the name of Tneek. Tneek, she's a rapper.
Hello.
So how are you tonight?
I'm good, thank you. Really well.
Good. You look lovely, and I love your headset.
Thank you.
And again, tonight is all about women being empowered. When I woke up this morning, and it was pretty early, I just heard like the voice of the Lord saying, empower the women, empower the women. Women are great influencers. We're influencers in our home and everywhere we go, but yet somehow we feel like it's just dutiful. We don't really feel like it's an accomplishment.
Right.
And so, do you feel that way, or have you experienced women that might feel that way?
I think, I do think that some women are aware of their value and what they have contributed and how powerful they can be. But I do think we've got some way to go. There are some that are still discovering that.
Sure.
So it depends really on your journey in life, I guess, and where you're at.
Okay. Well, then why don't you tell us, Tneek, how you came to be affiliated as an artist with Zoe Records, and tell us what your journey has been there and how you have influenced the success of Zoe Records.
Okay, well, I'm probably one of the newbies here. I've known Zoe Records for probably a few years now, I'd say. I met them because for me, I met them after I did my first Christian project, which was an EP called Rich. Prior to that, I was doing music in the secular field. So following my life change and direction and rededicating myself to God, I decided to come back to music and just give it back to Christ, really. So on that journey, I started performing at quite a few churches in UK, and I met Tracy and Isaac, really lovely men. And they invited me on quite a few concerts that they've had. So I did a library project with them. So it was a concert in a library, which was really cool. I did a couple at their church as well, and a festival, I think I did. So that was really nice. So they've kind of just been bringing me on board and giving me more exposure to their audience and more opportunities to perform as well, which was really lovely. But in terms of my contribution, I feel that I have brought a bit of another dimension, basically, as a female rapper coming from the secular. I'm hoping that I am, like Coco Dupree was saying, I've brought myself, as in my personality, kind of with a bit of a street influence. So when we perform and stuff, I'm able to bring in rap to some of the more probably challenging and edgy people who may be in the audience, to connect with them and share with them my story and what God can do for them.
Okay, that's awesome, and that is very important. Broadening the fan base for the label,
Yes.
and like you said, just bringing who you are and what you do. And so, do you have a few bars? No. I was going to put you on the spot, but hold that thought, because before the night is over, why don't you do something, freestyle for us a little later, okay? And just thank you for being the artist that you are, being able to reach the people that you can reach, a woman of influence, obviously, and that God is truly using. And again, I'm not trying to preach to anybody tonight, but I'm telling you that you were hand chosen, handpicked to be here tonight. And ladies and gentlemen, I know you've been waiting for this one. This lady that's coming up now that will be introduced, I know she's been in the industry forever. As long as I can remember, I remember her name in various circles in gospel music industry. And it's like, if you're doing anything in publicity in the UK, you have got to go see Marsha Dixon. So let's bring Marsha up.
Hi.
Hi. I mean, that is the truth, okay? And that's like, if you can go ask anybody even now, today, I need some PR in London. Whose name's gonna come up? Marsha Dixon. It's like
Okay.
you've been here forever.
Yeah, I feel like part of the furniture.
And maybe that is a good fixture, indeed. And you're not one of the artists. And so I want people to also see that there is diversity in what is being done. Diversity. Not everybody's a singer, not everybody's writing the music, but there are people who are just as instrumental, just as influential, and just as impacting as everyone else, but they're kind of behind the scenes or operating, social media or in a different vein is what I'm saying. So would you please tell us tonight how you came to work with Zoe Records and how you've influenced the success of the label?
Okay, so I'm originally a journalist. So I worked on an ethnic paper here, or a black newspaper here in London for many years, doing the gospel page called Soul Stirring. So along the way, I have covered stories about Zoe Records and interviewed some of their artists, most notably JS. And I've also done some PR for Zoe Records. So I've done stuff with Dawn Thomas, with JS, who I've mentioned before, and some of their albums as well. And also interviewed some of their artists when they've performed live here in London for Zoe Records radio shows and things like that. So that's my involvement with Zoe Records, just helping to get the word out there, promoting their albums on my social media platforms, which are quite well known and have a high profile over here in the UK. And it's been fun. It's been great. They've got some really, really great artists. I love Isaac's approach to making music and promoting his music. Just really respect the focus that he has in putting out music and, with a laser focus, just kind of staying in his lane and doing the best he can to get out the music that he loves. And that's really quite inspiring for me.
That's awesome. And clearly, there's nothing more powerful than a journalist, someone who can write and influence the minds of millions of people, with a pen and a story. And I know I've read some of your press releases. It's always, I got to get this to Marsha. Isaac will say, I've got to send this over. Marsha can do a press release and get this out or something. And I've been on your platform. I've seen your promotions. And, when you put something out there, it's like the story's been told. So people hear it from you. They believe it. It's credible. They know it's real news. And you've done a great job over the years. And like I said, I've been in this business for quite a long time. And, and
longer than me?
I don't know. I'm going to top out it. Let's just say I've been here for 20 years.
Okay.
Okay. And I have always heard your name. And, we go way back.
I've been to America a couple of times. I've been over to attend the Stellar Awards. I remember attending one in Nashville and also one in Atlanta as well. So I've had some really good good experiences. I think I did go to New York. Can't remember if the Stellas was in New York, but I've been a couple of times and I've always really enjoyed it. Love the atmosphere, love the performances, love the artistry, love the energy, and always just had a really, really great time.
Absolutely. I mean, we're going to show you a good time. We're American. It's like that's what we do.
It is. It
It
is.
really is. We major in good time, So I just like to bring all the ladies back at this time and then just tell you who I am, over the years. And it's funny because I'll tell you how I met Isaac. So Isaac had just kind of gotten the label, up and running. And I guess they were looking to expand. And he was on a particular platform. They were introducing some of their artists at that particular time. Little Debbie D. I don't know if anybody remembers Little Debbie D, but Little Debbie D, and then there was other artists as well. And so I reached out to him and I said, hey, I listened to your music and I really liked what I'm hearing, and I thought it was awesome. I really did. And he seemed to be pretty nice, and he was open to the idea of having someone to work with him over here in the States. And so we set up a meeting. He flew in to the DC area. He flew into the DC area and we had our meeting there. And when I came in, he said, I look Ibu. Okay. And he said, wow, she looks Ibu, like this is the woman. And I think the Lord was giving him some insight as to, the work that would be coming forth. And he was following, like you said, his vision, staying in his lane. And the Lord showed him that this was a connection. And it really was. And we started out with, some artists that were new to touring, and we all went on tour together. And then the record label began to build its roster. And then, of course, the talent just exploded. And like I said, we've been on tour throughout America. We've had just amazing opportunities presented to us. And at the end of the day, the bottom line is we have all added to the success of this endeavor. We have all added to the plan of God, if you will, the plan of God for Zoe Records. Everybody here has been a part of that. And we even have our technical person who's in the backdrop. Tracy is also a part of the success. God hand chose us, picked us out from however many he wanted to, and made us really special for this particular moment in time. So I just want to thank you all. And again, the whole idea tonight is to talk about the success of Zoe Records. And I called us Women of Zoe. We are the Women of Zoe, Women's History Month, choose to challenge. Of course, a world that is aware, the awareness that we have now in America, especially during this pandemic, is just extensive. And we have been found to be creative in this moment and at this time. And I just want to encourage women. I've been reading Ezekiel 37. I sent it to everybody. And one of the things that the Lord said to Ezekiel is he took him into a valley of dry, dead bones, and they were all scattered about. And the Lord asked Ezekiel, can these bones live? Can these bones live? And tonight, Tneek, I'm going to start with you. I want you to tell us whether or not the women who are listening tonight, tuning in tonight, or who might even catch this broadcast on the replay, can they live again? Women who have tossed aside their hopes and their dreams and have settled, can they live again? Okay, you're muted.
Okay. Yes, sorry. I was saying they can live again. Certainly, they definitely can. For me, it's, I almost gave up at one point, and it was because of how I saw things to be in my through my own strength, not knowing that I had to lean on the strength of God. So when I got married and had my first child, my daughter, I was at a point where I had such a major shift and change in my life, that I felt like I wanted to, you know, be the best wife I could be the best mother I could be the best, Christian I could be. And I felt like I had to drop my music to the side, um, because I kind of put it to bed before, because I was using it for the enemy's camp, basically. So those were my dry bones. That's how I'm seeing it. But then I had to realize that, God gave me the gift. He gave me the talent to use for his glory. So I had to pick it up again and breathe life back into it and seek God and see what he's saying with what he wants me to do with it. And as I started on that journey and began to pursue that path, he started to open up the doors and show me ways in which I could still manage it and still be able to, make some sort of success out of what he has given me, despite my limitations that I had was putting on myself and what I could see through my physical situation. So, as an encouragement to all the women out there, regardless of your situation, as long as you're walking in what God has implanted within you, you can do it, you can succeed, and you can be great at it.
Amen. I really appreciate that.
Amen.
So tell us about Real Queens.
So, you've been doing your research.
Hey.
Yeah, so
Mhm.
I'm working on a campaign basically. I'm working on a new project as well, which is going to be following with a campaign called I haven't quite decided the name. I'm
Okay.
toying with Real Queens Stand Up or Real Queens Reign. It's basically to empower women to find, their real dignity inside themselves, so that they can kind of, shine as God has called them to shine, and not, you know, see themselves as queens through the way that the world has depicted us to be, in the derogatory ways in which we see.
Yeah.
So I want to really uplift and build up esteem in women through my Christian principles and what God has placed within myself and built myself up to kind of share as a testimony to say, regardless of where you're at, regardless of what you've been through, regardless of what people may think of you or say about you, you are still a queen, and a real queen, not the queen that the world is trying to say you are through, showing your body parts, or through, being really slack and wild. That's not true queenship. Because when we think about royalty and how the word of God talks about us as royal priesthoods, that's a completely different thing to the world's version of queen. So that's basically a synopsis of what it's all about.
Oh, I absolutely love that. And we know that you have a baby. I want
Yes.
you just to kind of like touch on that too, because a lot of times we think we have to separate our real life with,
Hmm.
and some women may with their
Yeah.
careers. Of course, you can't take all your kids to the office. But tell us how you manage being you said you wanted to be the best wife and you wanted to be the best believer, the best Christian that is, and you wanted to be the best
Hmm.
mom. So tell us how that plays into real life. What does that look like? I mean, are we going to see the baby tonight coming in? I think you did say that the
You
babies
might,
are
you might do.
put, put to bed, but that's real. I mean, that's real
Yeah.
because
Hmm.
people are using those very aspects of life as hindrances, and they're
Yeah.
using them as an excuse. I can't do this because I have a
Hmm.
baby. I can't
Yeah.
do this because So tell us about how you are actually managing your life and still walking in your destiny.
Wow. Well, firstly, it's not easy.
Okay.
I'd be lying if I was to say, yes, it's amazing. It definitely does have its challenges.
Mhm.
It's probably, if I'm being honest, it's easier for me to just throw the towel in. Um, I think the drive for me is the vision that God has given me, first and foremost. Secondly, as well, being a role model to my children and wanting them to see that regardless, they should pursue what call they have from the Lord, basically. So for me, if I just quit and give in, I'm going to be stepping out of my purpose, which means I won't be the best woman that I can be. So it's important that I stay in that purpose regardless. So in terms of managing it, um, I've just got to be super organized, really. So if I've got anything on like this thing tonight, I'm thinking about it a week before, um, whether you got to sort out what they're going to eat, when they're going to bed, who's going to watch them. But I'm blessed that I'm married and I've got a supporting husband, so he's with them now. So that
Mhm.
that does help as well. But it's just a multitasking thing and consistently juggling and trying to get your priorities in the right order.
Yes, you know what? I can appreciate you saying everything that you just said. I heard Bishop T.D. Jakes said, he was preaching, and he said, "Does anybody know how hard this is?" Because sometimes, the Facebook community makes you think that every moment is glamorous, that I always have on my
Brilliant.
makeup and,
Yeah.
I'm looking cute all the time. But
Mhm,
there are ugly moments in
mhm,
life. I mean, moments when you're ready to absolutely throw in the towel. It would be easier. You know what, God, I'm cutting this completely out or off. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going forward. I am a single mom now. I mean, I've been married. But the point is that when my kids were young, when Zoe Records was, we were just kind of kicking off this Zoe Records um, thing. And what happened was I took my kids with me. My kids, they knew the stars. They were getting in the limos. I mean, for them, it was, oh, this is great, mom. You know, uh, Trinity. I remember Trinity 5-7. We had went somewhere. We were doing an event, and I forget which one it was. That said, "Hey, where are the girls?" Like, we're so used to seeing them. I had to pack my kids up. I had to do it. I had to do it. So I respect what you're saying. You're a planner. You really are. Because I remember we had a conversation and you were so far ahead of me. And I'm thinking, Tneek, it's not that deep. And you were like going down your list saying, wait a minute, we have to do it like this. So I appreciate that. And for women who are listening tonight, yes, it's hard, but you can do it. You just take it
mhm.
one bite at a time. You take it
Yeah.
one moment at a time. So let's go to Deborah because Deborah is, she's managing a schedule similar to yours. She's a girl mom and she's got two beautiful little daughters at home too. And Deborah, how are you getting it done?
Wow, only the grace of God.
Yeah.
um, it's a big challenge because you've not only got to look after well, I haven't well, I've got to look after my husband and then two children and then also myself and then the house and everything else that I need to sort out and do. So it's a lot to juggle. But I totally agree with what Tneek said. It's you just have to do it. You can't think about it too much. You just have to um, be the best for your family, for your children, and just continue to strive and plan and prioritize. And yeah, that's and just be prayerful always, because like you're faced constantly, because there's growth. The growth is constantly coming. Things are changing constantly. They're growing like daily, so you're having to face and encounter things that are sometimes alarming, like, oh my gosh, especially when they hit their age 2. I don't know what happened to my daughter when it I call it the terrific age. As soon as she hit 2, it was just a shift. Like, she just became 20. So yeah, you just have to be prayerful, and you just have to you can't give up. You can't you can't have a slack day. You always have to be on the ball. But also learn, obviously, I don't know, there might be other mothers, that not to be too hard on yourself, because it can be very overwhelming at times, and sometimes it can feel very impossible. But God has just a funny way of putting, well, we think that it's impossible situations in your hands, but the word says that He will never give you more than you can bear. And it's just amazing how God can just enable you to just multitask and just handle situations. So yeah, I totally agree with Tneek, in the juggling side of things when it comes to motherhood. So yeah, it's a blessing. It's changed my life. It's changed my outlook of life. And you know, just knowing that I have two princesses that are growing to become queens, you know, it's just, you have to be so careful in how you you know, how you speak life into them. You know, you have to continuously speak life and make sure that, you know, they know that they grow up knowing that they're beautiful and that God loves them, and in making sure that they are walking to set in their own personal relationship with you know, with Christ. And yeah, it's just it's a lot of learning. It's a lot of yeah, it's a lot of learning. Learning and great experiences. Yeah, I'd say.
I think it would be called on the job training, you know,
Yes.
because you think you're
Yeah.
doing the right thing until
Oh
it
my gosh.
flops.
Yes.
And then you're like, okay, that didn't work, you know. But the key that I'm hearing is that you have to persevere. There has to be perseverance, and it's not going to be easy. And even, you know, where I am now, we've gone through this pandemic. It's been a crazy shift, you know, and my kids are now young adults. My oldest one is going to be getting her master's degree in what, next month? No, in May. And, you know, so they don't need me as much as they used to. They don't go with me. They're like, no, mom, you're good. You know, I used to take them on tour, and, you know, so now they're kind of like, mom, don't you have something else to do? You know, and it's a shift. And I want women to know again that the plan that God has for you is for you. And you just have to work it. Not every day is going to be perfect. Nope, not everything is going to work out. It's some of this stuff is going to fail, but it's okay. Failure is only an indication of what didn't work right. It's not the end of anything by any means. This is going to go all the way. God tells you the end from the beginning. So if it's not the end, it's not over. So let's go over to Marsha. And Martha, that's my American coming out. Marsha, you know, Americans don't talk like you Brits, okay? We're not proper. Deborah,
I
am I
know. Marcia gets turned to Marsha.
Marsha? Okay, Marsha, tell us about your trek, about your testimony. You've been in the industry for a long time. You've been a publicist for quite a long time. You've been working with the government, parliament. You've been editing, you know, the editor over at Keep the Faith magazine. You still have a column there. You're still doing things. You know, you're an influencer, not just in, you know, in the music industry. You're not the go-to music publicist. You are the go-to publicist. You know, you have your ear and hand on the pulse of the Black faith-based community, you know, in London. I mean, when anything goes down, it comes across your desk. That is a lot of influence, which lets me know that there has to be some disappointment in the midst of that. You know, tell us about, you know, and then just segue into Destined to Soar.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I've been writing since I was a young person. I've been writing for about 30 years. I was a child prodigy, so I started when I was about 10. I'm just joking. I've been working at The Voice for a long time. I do it because I feel a passion for it. So when I first started writing at The Voice, I was studying social sciences. I initially wanted to be a social worker. Now, because of where I am now, I realize that it was not the right profession for me. I'm not the person to be dealing with people's problems. I'll write about them, but I'm not gonna help you walk through them. I'm sorry. I'm not the one. I'm not the one. However, when I first started working, writing rather, in the early years of doing my column, I was quite critical, and I feel that people didn't really know how to take me, because I was very honest. If I did reviews of events, I'd be straight. If I liked it, I liked it. If I didn't, I didn't. and many artists over here weren't kind of used to that. So I was kind of like respected, but not, you know, not really loved, if you get my gist. So I had to kind of deal. I had to deal with that, and then I had to deal with my own personal aspirations. So two of the women on here are married with family. I'm, you know, a single Christian woman who has reached this point in my life where I think that when I look back, I wish that on my journey I had met Mr. Right and I had the family. So I deal with that. But God is gracious, and I've always got things that I put my hands to do. So I worked at The Voice, and then I started working in doing publicity. One of the things that I'm really proud of is, along with my friend, a lady called Roni Henderson, I did the PR for Donnie McClurkin's Live in London album, the album which made him a gospel superstar. Also done stuff for Yolanda Adams as well, and Kirk Franklin. The very first time he came to this country, I worked with the promoters to do some of the PR. Ended up setting up my own PR company. I see you've done my research, so I've done quite a bit of stuff working for statutory organizations, businesses, and artists. And then just latterly, I have felt led to host a breakfast called Destined to Soar, and it was initially aimed at women in ministry, to just share with them information about the practical things they needed to do to build successful ministries. It's been going for 5 years now, and what's been really, really great about it is that it has expanded. So I now attract business women and professionals who just want to be in a positive environment, being equipped on how they can take what they're doing to the next level. Because, you know, in my heart, I believe that God wants women to excel. He wants them to do in whatever sphere they're in. So whether they're a stay-at-home mum, or they're in a career, or they're running a ministry or a business, God wants them to be the best that they can be in that. And the breakfast provides a forum where women can meet other women, connect, network, and learn things that they can apply to what they're doing. So that's where I am now. I'm just looking to kind of broaden that and do podcasting, a YouTube channel, and all that kind of stuff. And I really just want to help work alongside women who aspire to go higher, to help them to fulfill their business ministry aspirations.
That is so powerful and admirable. And so what I'm thinking is how we can connect with women who have a challenge with rejection, you know, disappointment. I mean, when you said you were writing, you know, what was true to you, and folks were hating on you because nobody,
the territory.
you know, people don't want to hear it. It's like, come on, you are the person, the woman of the hour, and of course they're waiting with bated breath to hear what you had to say, and maybe it didn't, you know, it wasn't exactly what they were expecting, and then you had to get that backlash, and some women can't handle it. They take it extremely personally, and then they feel like, you know, they might leave that particular genre of work because they feel as though they're not good at it, but really they are good at it. And in terms of speak to longevity, you know, right now, don't get caught up in the moment. There is so much more. Speak to women who are quitting soon. I mean, just quitting, period, giving up, throwing in the towel. Tell them that it's worth the wait.
I meet so many women who have given up because somebody has said something that they didn't like or discouraged them. And when I speak to them, you can see the sadness that they wish that they had continued doing what it was that God had called them to do. And that's the sad thing. They give up on things that God has called them to do. So my encouragement there is to just kind of press on and press through. If God has called you to do something, you know, you'll hear the negative things that people have got to say. However, you've got to shut it out and just keep on pushing forward. those people that you see at the top of their profession, wherever it is, they've just had to push through the criticism, because criticism comes whether you're a really nice person or a truth teller and you tell it like it is. There's always going to be somebody who doesn't think you're that great and will let you know, but or will try to discourage you. But people should not allow them to put them off. That's my thing.
Wow, that's a lot. And so, how are you the one that has the pulse, your hand on the pulse of the Black faith-based community? How did that? I mean, because that's what it looks like. If people are trying to reach the Black faith-based community, they need to connect with you so that you can direct them and maybe give them a strategy for tapping into that particular group of people.
Well, it comes with being a journalist. So, like a publicist, you get to know everybody. You know, I'm nosy as well, so that helps. I just want to know what's happening. People tell me what's happening. You know, I watch trends. I look to see who's coming, who's on the rise. I'm interested in music. I'm interested in what churches are around. I'm interested who the influencers are, who the people that other people are taking note of. I'm just observant, and when you're observant, you kind of get to know who's who and who you should be connecting with. And obviously, in terms of my work, I can help organizations connect with the people that they need to be connected with.
I think that's phenomenal. And that really makes you valuable, extremely valuable when you have that type of influence in that area. Thank you so much for being a woman of destiny. I mean, tonight we're listening and sharing with women who are telling you the bare facts. It's hard trying to do the things that they have even been called to do by God. So sometimes when we hear that someone was called to something, you think that it's going to be an easy ride, but it's not. You're going to still have to put, your hands to it. You're going to have to get out there and work hard, and sometimes even harder, because when you're doing the work of the Lord, folks don't always like that. So there's quite a bit of pushback, and you have to just push back. You have to push back and keep it going. And when you have unique talent like Coco, we don't even know what you've experienced or how you've been able to, endure and to still be in this industry. And I know that you recently shared that you were having like I'm going to call it a consecration. And come on, let's talk about that. Let's talk about the real talk. What it takes, what it really takes when you are working and serving the Lord and following His plan for your life. Okay.
I'm gonna keep it really short because obviously we don't really have that much time left. So I'm gonna cut everything down to like little nuggets. Life in itself is a challenge. One thing I've realized and noticed that it's important to know who you are. Not just know who you are, but know who you are in Christ, especially if you're of the Christian faith. Man, I'm telling you, I'm coming from born and raised in church, being on tour, going to the States, coming back to reality in the UK like a headless chicken. I didn't know what to do. The issue with that was that even at that time, I was carrying baggage upon baggage and having pain that wasn't dealt with and stuff like that. So coming back to the UK, having to deal with reality of not being on the road, I just thought to myself, I'm a hypocrite. I'm going to expose myself even more. I was still struggling with drinking. I was still struggling with depression, anxiety, smoking, even at that time. Once I came back, I was touring secular artists, working with top UK artists over here, being a backing vocalist. And, so that kind of just took over everything. When I tell you I hit rock bottom, I should not be here. I should be dead, to be honest with you. I should be in a hospital in a straitjacket because I literally lost my mind and I just lost myself. I didn't know who I was anymore. I just didn't know where to go. And I was just like, come on, God, you're meant to be this great God. Like, what happened? What's going on? Like, why isn't it? But really and truly, it took me 7 years of not being able to do any music whatsoever. I was stuck. I could not write a note. I could not write anything. I couldn't sing, and thankfully, my father, he's a praying father. So he kept me under prayer all the time, even when I just didn't want to hear it. I was just going through way too much. It actually took, be honest with you, it actually took my father to get COVID last year. He's great now, by the way. Lockdown as well, for me to actually completely open my heart totally, like be completely naked before God. And I've never done that in my life. Like, and literally lay everything down. And only then did I realize the plan that he actually had for me and that he still had for me. And when you're in tune, that's when you're like, oh my gosh, I can sit back with ease and just let it. I'm cool because I know where I'm going. I know where he's taking me. So 7 years of doing nothing, was stuck. Was trying to go on my own power. Today, I have, in the 3 months that we're in, I have written 4 albums. I am preparing to release this year. I have started a clothing line, which I'm wearing, called Royalty, and just starting on a women's ministry as well that I'm starting to grow. And for me, it was just realizing that God has a plan regardless. He has a plan for you. And it's just about making sure that your ears are open to hear and that your heart is open also. It's really important because, he can't fill you up if you're just full of baggage and you don't want to hear anything and nothing. New wine cannot go into old wine skins. It will just burst at the seams. So for me, I just decided to completely dedicate my life from head to toe and go into a time of consecration. Say, you know what, Lord, nothing else can go down from here. So I give you me. This is it, and take it from here. And I can truly say that it has been an absolute blessing. I have never felt greater than any time before in my life, anytime. And it can only just keep soaring up from here. So yeah, my encouragement is just to stay diligent. Do not give up on your dream and your desires. You are more than your clothes that you wear. You are more than just the job. You are more than your name. You are more than your status and your title. There is more to you than that. So just keep pushing. It is important to push forward. And if you have people also that are encouraging and uplifting and that can elevate you to another level, it is important to have wise counsel as well that can push you and help you get forward. Do not give up because you are needed by somebody.
That, you know what? I know why God made you last. Because that is the summation of this whole evening. We are women of destiny. And it's interesting that we connect through Zoe Records. I would never have met any of you if it had not been for Zoe Records. And God ordained Zoe Records to be in that place in position. And, to God be all the glory that Isaac O'Denirin is following through. And the Lord has connected us all tonight. He has been able to speak through all of us tonight to women. There is no excuse to quit. Never quit. Never, ever, ever quit. Even if you're still smoking, even if you're still drinking, don't quit. Even if you're still doing things that you need to give up, you're still with the dude that you need to cut off. Don't quit. Just continue to seek God. And of course, tell all your friends to go back and watch the replay at Zoe Records UK on Facebook and on YouTube. Subscribe to the YouTube channel and like us on Facebook. Ladies, it's been a pleasure and a blessing. I can't wait to go back to watch this. Please, you can share this particular show on your in your social media. I thank you all. You're all extraordinary. You are women of destiny. You are influencing your, the sphere of influence that God has given you. You are real queens. You are destined to soar. You're everything that God says you are. So we bless you tonight. and appreciate every single one of you. And I can't wait to see you all soon. Tracy, take it away.